So we have two papers for today. We have this hand. What you should notice is this is a left hand. So the reason I gave you a picture of a left hand is so we can talk about inequalities. So this is a left hand, so right at the top, left hand. And the reason I use a left hand is because if you look at your left hand, see how this makes an L? But it also makes a less than symbol. So go ahead and write the less than symbol, which is an L, and then add the ESS to make less. So left hand is less than. That's how I remember my symbols. If it's a left hand, if it looks like this hand right here, then it's a less than symbol. If it's the opposite, then it's a greater than symbol. Okay, so put this to the side. We'll come back to it when we glue it in our journal. So left hand, less than. We are going to solve and graph inequalities with one variable. So we need to review what the symbols mean. If you have an inequality, you are going to solve the same way that you solved equations. Except when you divide or multiply by a negative on both sides, you have to switch the inequality symbol. So write that down. Switch the inequality symbol. Anytime you divide or multiply on both sides by a negative, okay, a number line looks like this. So we have 0, and then to the right of 0 are the positive numbers, and to the left of 0 are the negative numbers. And negative numbers would go backwards. -1, -2, -3, -4. So don't forget that because we're going to solve and graph on a number line. So here are the symbols. Less than, remember left hand. This makes my left hand. When you graph it on a number line, you put an open circle so you don't shade it in, and it goes to the left. And actually, if you look at this, the end of the arrow, see how the end of the arrow and the symbol are actually the same. So go in the direction that the symbol points to. A less than or equal to. Equal to means it includes whatever number it is. So it could be like x is less than or equal to 2. That means it's 2 or smaller. So 2, 1, 0, -1. You have a shaded or a closed circle and it goes left. Greater than means it's going to go to the right. And since it's not equal to, it's an open circle. Greater than or equal to, you have a closed circle and it goes to the right. So look at the arrow on here. See how that is the same symbol as that? It goes to the right, points to the right, means greater than. So you can use this as you're doing examples, and we'll come back to this. So let's look at these first examples on the top. It says inequalities on a number line. Graph the given inequality on the number line. So this first one, look at the symbol. It's not an L, so it's a greater than. If you want to write that, greater than. So if it's greater than, look back at the front, greater than, it's open right. So go ahead and write that, open right. That's a comma. So we have a number line, but no numbers on there. So you can put the numbers any way you want to. I usually just go ahead and put the number that I'm graphing on there first, so 5. And you don't have to number every single one. You can do like this, 6, 7. I kind of skipped one. And then go backward, 4, 3. Just so we have a general idea of what the numbers look like. It's an open circle on the 5. And it's going right. So look at this. Look at those two. Look at the arrow and look at the symbol. They're the same. We're going to shade the number line. So it's open and going right. Okay, let's look at the next one. We have X is, it's not an L, so it has to be greater than. It has the line underneath, so greater than or equal to. So write greater than or equal to. The or equal to tells us that it's going to be a closed circle on that number. And greater than means we're going to go right. And you can always look back here because that tells you right away. Closed and right. So we have a 6. So let's put in the 6, 7, 8. And then to the left would be going smaller, 5 and 4. So closed circle on the 6. And it's greater than. The arrow looks like the greater than symbol. We're going to shade it in. So X being greater than or equal to 6 means it's 6, 7, 8, and so on to infinity. Okay, let's look at this next one. See how it's -2 is greater than X. The problem with this is it's in the wrong order. You really need your variable first. Need variable first. Since the variable's not first, we're actually going to flip-flop these around. So flip, flop. That means I'm going to flip the X and the number and then flop the symbol. So flip these around. Flip the order, but you also have to flop the symbol. So now it's a less than symbol. So don't forget the symbols flipping around too, or flopping. Flip the numbers, flop the symbol. Flip, flop. So this is a less than symbol. I'm not going to write it out. I'm just going to write what that means. Look back at the front. Less than symbol means it's open and to the left. So write that down. Open, left. So -2 is going to go in the middle. Whenever I go right, I'm going to get bigger numbers. So -1 and then 0. So if you need to refer back to this number line that's on the front. And then if I go to the right, it's going to be -3 and -4. So look back at that number line. So it's going to be open. And it's a less than. It makes the left hand. So we're going to go to the left. So those are the steps on how to put it on the number line. I believe y'all learned that in 7th and 8th grade. So this is a little bit of a review. So let's go to the steps of solving inequality symbols or inequality equations. So step 1, check to make sure the variable is on the left side. If not, we are going to flip, flop. That means you're going to flip the X in the number and flop the symbol. The next thing will be to use the distributive property. To remove any parentheses. And then we are going to combine like terms on each side of the inequality. Then solve the inequality just like a regular equation. So it's following the same steps for the most part. Just that first step, you're going to make sure the X is first, or whatever variable it is first. And then also, don't forget to switch the inequality when multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative. So don't forget that portion, because that changes the symbol. So let's solve our first one. I'm going to do it the same way. Draw my line down the inequality symbol. We're going to move things around. Step 1, check to make sure the variable's on the left side. And it is. Step 2, use distributive property. I don't need to because there's no parentheses. Step 3, combine like terms on each side. Don't need to do that either. Step 4, solve the inequality just like a regular equation. All right, that's where we start. Subtract 14 on both sides. 14's cancel on the left and actually on the right. So we have 4x is greater than, because it's not an L. I have to have something here. What is 14 minus 14? 0. So I've got to put that 0 there. And then now we have 4x. This is a multiply, so we divide both sides by 4. X is greater than. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So we'll go ahead and put the 0 in the middle. And then let's do 1, 2. I'm skipping a tick mark. Now go backwards, -1, -2. Okay, this is a greater than, so it's this one. So it's open right, so I'm going to write that open right. So open circle and go right. Another thing that might help you, I've said a couple of times, is see how this symbol looks like that? So does this. They're the same. So that might help you know which way to go, because you won't have your notes whenever you take a test. All right, let's go to the next one. 39 is greater than or equal to 12x plus 3. All right. Step 1. Check to make sure the variable's on the left side. If not, flip-flop. This variable's on the right side. So I've got to flip-flop the whole thing. So I'm going to do the arrows, and I'm going to circle the inequality so I don't forget to do that too. So I'm going to move this 12x plus 3 to the other side. 39 on this side. Don't forget the symbol. This is a greater than or equal to. Now it's going to be a less than or equal to. Draw your line down your inequality symbol and solve. Step 2, distributive. We don't have it. No parentheses. Step 3, combine like terms. We don't have any terms to combine. Okay, so step 4, solve it just like a regular equation. So we need to move this 3 to the other side. And then divide by 12. 36 divided by 12 is 3. So put 3 in the middle of your number line. When we go right, we have bigger numbers. When we go left, we have smaller numbers. Okay, because it has the or equal to, it's going to be closed. And then look at your inequality. This is a less than, left hand. If you want to do it like that, you can. Look at your 2 arrows. It's a closed circle on the 3, and it goes left. Left hand, left side. Okay, make sure you finish that example. We have 2 more examples. All right, let's look at this one. Step 1, make sure the variable's on the left side. If not, flip-flop. The variable's on the left side, so we're good. Draw your line down your inequality symbol. Step 2, use distributive property. So we need to distribute this 6. (6x). 6 times 2 is plus 12. Carry down the plus 1. Less than or equal to negative 17. So we distributed. Step 3, combine like terms. So on the left side, what can I combine? The 2 terms that are constant, so the 12 and the 1. 12 plus 1 is 13. I'm going to keep the 6x plus. Keep the symbol. One thing I forget sometimes is carrying down the symbol, and I put an equal sign on accident. So pay attention to that. Okay, now we're going to solve just like a regular equation. How do I do that? Move that 13. Negative 17 and negative 13. What does that make? Negative 30. And then, last step. Divide by 6. So x is less than or equal to negative 30 divided by 6, negative 5. Oh, I don't like that there. So I'm going to rewrite it and put it over here. Okay, less than or equal to, what kind of circle are we going to have? Close. Less than, left hand, that looks the same. So it's going to go left because it's a less than. So let's put negative 5 in the middle. Then I need to go to the right, which makes bigger numbers. But since they're negative, it's going to be like negative 4 and negative 3. Then go to the left and get smaller numbers. So negative 6, negative 7. Closed on the negative 5. And go left. Or look at your symbol and know that those are the same. Okay, the next one. Let's look at it. Step 1, check to make sure the variable's on the left side. If not, flip-flop. Variables on both sides, so we're not going to flip-flop. We're going to go on to the second step. So only if the variable is only on the wrong side, but it's on both, so we're going to leave it. Draw your line down the inequality symbol. Step 2, use distributive property. Do y'all recognize this? It's our bell ringer, or our warm-up problem. The only thing is we have an inequality symbol instead. Negative 8 times x. Negative 8 times 6. Combine like terms on both sides, on each side. Can't do that. So I need to move all the x's to the left now. I don't move the numbers first. Move x's first. So I need to move this negative 5x to the other side. So do the opposite. Negative 8x plus 5x. It's negative 3x. And minus 16 is less than 11. Okay, what's next? Move this 16. How do you move negative 16? Plus 16. So we have negative 3x is less than 11 plus 16, 27. Still need to get x all by itself, so how do I do that? Divide by a negative 3. All right, so remember how we have this? I said don't forget this. Don't forget to switch the inequality when multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative. This is the first time we've had to do that. So what I do to remind myself is anytime I divide both sides by a negative, I'm going to circle this inequality and write the word switch so I don't forget. So it's going to be x, instead of being less than, it's going to be greater than 27 divided by a negative 3. It's a negative 9. So solving inequalities is the same except for this one step, dividing both sides by a negative. Or if you multiply both sides by a negative. Okay? Let's put negative 9 in the middle. So we need bigger numbers going right. So that means the negative number is going to get smaller. So -8, -7. Then go the opposite way, get smaller. What kind of circle am I going to have? Open or closed? Open. And then which direction? Which direction is that pointing? Right. So open and right. Okay, we're going to glue in both of these into our journal on the next 2 pages. Do the left hand on the left side. So this is what mine will look like.